Hi, this is Tony Sagami. I know I talked to you about Malaysia last week, and it's such a vibrant and thriving economy that I wanted to talk to you again about it this week. In particular, there are several economic hints that came out in the last week that confirm my enthusiasm about Malaysia. Now, the first economic hint was that the Malaysian equivalent of Ben Bernanke forecast that the Malaysian economy would grow by 7% in 2011. That would be a significant increase because the Malaysian GDP is already at 205 billion last year. And to put that in perspective, Hong Kong, a giant thriving economy that we all know, did 215 billion last year for its GDP. So from that perspective, Malaysia is a big and growing economy. The economic hint number 2 was Nomura Securities came out with a research report last week on Malaysia, and here's what they had to say about it. Low foreign ownership, prudent monetary policy, improving fiscal balance due to strong commodity prices, and a strengthening currency are positive factors that should raise the market higher. I couldn't agree more. The third economic hint was that, I compare what's going on with the banking system. American and European banks are eager to loan money out for any project with the name China in it. That's been a very good strategy, but the Japanese banks are not only owning to China, they're also loaning very aggressively to Malaysia. Sumitomo Bank, which is the second largest bank in Japan, increased its staff in Malaysia from 30 to 100 in the last 6 months. And all told, Japanese banks loaned out a total of 7.7 billion for Malaysian projects last year. That's a 15% increase from 2009. Now, the banking business in Malaysia is pretty darn prosperous also. The reason for that is Malaysian banks are some of the strongest in the world, and Malaysia is now the main Islamic banking center of the world, and its banks are extremely well run, very conservatively managed, and extremely profitable. One bank you could take a look at is the Malaysian Bank. It's also traded in the U.S. on the over-the-counter market, and its ticker symbol is MLYBY.PK. MLYBY.PK. Now, the fourth economic hint, it kind of surprised me because the more I learned about Malaysia, the more impressed I am. Did you know that Malaysia is the largest auto market in Southeast Asia? It's true. And you know how vibrant it is? Last year, its auto sales hit an all-time high in 2010. It rose by 12.7% to 605,000 cars. The top auto producer in Malaysia is a company called Perodua. It has a 31% market share. The number 2 market share is a company called Proton with a 26% market share, and Toyota is a distant third with 15%. Now, Perodua is owned by a consortium of corporations, including Daihatsu, so you can't buy stock in it. But Proton is publicly traded and a very successful company. Its ticker is 5304.KL. 5304.KL. The fifth economic hint is for the first time in Malaysia's history, the annual the value of all the real estate transactions topped 100 billion ringgit in 2010. That's about 32 billion in US dollars. More importantly, the price of the average home increased by 20% last year. Very healthy, vibrant real estate market. One real estate development company, a Malaysian company that you could take a look at, is called Bandar Raya Developments. Its ticker is 1473.KL. 1473.KL. And the last economic hint would be that, did you know that Hillary Clinton just made a visit to Malaysia last week? And she called it a model nation and said that other nations, in other emerging nations, should try to model after it and emulate it because it's democratic, effectively governed, and economically sound. As I mentioned last week, the Malaysian ETF, that ticker is EWM, is the easiest way to give yourself some Malaysian exposure. The 3 largest sectors in that ETF are 21% in financial, again, those Malaysian banks, 14% in consumer goods, and then 14% in industrial materials, all those natural resources that I talked about last week in Malaysia. Malaysia is a fantastic country, very dynamic, very growing, very prosperous. And if you have a chance, go visit it. You'll be very impressed. Until next week, this is Tony Sagami signing off.